Today, I'm pleased to make the largest deregulatory announcement in U.S. history. The Environmental Protection Agency is initiating 31 historic actions to fulfill President Trump's promise to unleash American energy, revitalize our auto industry, restore the rule of law, and give power back to the states. EPA will be reconsidering many suffocating rules that restrict nearly every sector of our economy and cost Americans trillions of dollars. Our actions include the Biden administration's deeply flawed Clean Power Plan 2.0, mercury and air toxic standards, Quad O/BC, particulate matter 2.5, light, medium, and heavy car and truck rules, NESHAPs, and the so-called social cost of carbon. To advance cooperative federalism, EPA will partner with states that were universally rejected by the last administration's Good Neighbor rule. Among many other actions, today's momentous day also includes the 2009 endangerment finding, along with all actions that rely on it. I've been told the endangerment finding is considered the holy grail of the climate change religion. For me, the U.S. Constitution and the laws of this nation will be strictly interpreted and followed. No exceptions. Today, the Green New Scam ends as the EPA does its part to usher in the golden age of American success. Our actions will lower the cost of living by making it more affordable to purchase a car, heat your home, and operate a business. Jobs will be created, especially in the U.S. auto industry, and our nation will become stronger for it. From the campaign trail to day one and beyond, President Trump has delivered on his promise to unleash energy dominance and lower the cost of living. We at EPA will do our part to power the great American comeback.
So this isn't normally the video I make, but what you just saw was, I have a list here of what a lot of those regulations are, but some of those things are like eliminating, whatever the EGR valves and things that clog up and kill modern engines. Now, a lot of this won't apply to cars I deal with. It's mostly a lot of diesels and whatnots, but the EPA was founded in 1970, and this sob here is 1974, and so there's starting to get a lot of these weird vacuum lines and things on the distributors, and just to try to help the environment, but a lot of it just clogged up engines and really decreased efficiency. Here's a picture of the engine bay of a car that we're gonna go pick up for my friend today. It's a 1985 F-150 with the 300 inline six. They're tanks of engines. They're great engines, but if you look, there's so many vacuum lines and so many plugs into carburetors and so many just electric everything. It just complicates it, and that's the only thing that kills those engines is the emission standards. Me personally, I think if we're able to delete some of these emission stuff, like this engine that you're seeing now, look how much cleaner it looks. It was able to put a cold air intake, a newer carb, less vacuum lines. It looks a lot cleaner, you get a lot more power, and you can even pick up fuel economy. And yeah, I get some of the emissions, but like the smog pumps or air pumps that were in a lot of the 80s emissions stuff in a lot of the cars, pumped more air into the exhaust system, which all that did was make it come cleaner out of the tailpipe, but it shoved more air into the tailpipe and exhaust system. And when you already have a small 1.5-inch, 2-inch pipe, that's just limiting airflow, and all that does is reduce fuel economy. And here's what a proper inline six is supposed to look like, with not all the electronics going into the carburetor. You have one vacuum line there, the fuel line, one barrel carburetor, 6 cylinders, 6 spark plugs. I mean, it's a simple engine. It'll run forever, and there's no wiring, there's no emissions crap that goes wrong on these engines. So these will also run forever, but they'll run more reliably because there's less to go wrong. And don't get me wrong, those Ford inline sixes, they'll run forever too. But once you get into 80s emissions, if you can delete those emission stuff, that's huge, because it'll be so much more reliable. There's not plugs and electric chokes, and some of that's nice, but at the same time, some of it's just overcomplicated and you don't need it. And with these regulations being deregulated, I think you'll be able to get more million-mile trucks. Like, the days of million-mile trucks and million-mile engines are practically over until now. And if these regulations get deregulated like they're supposed to, then I think we could see million-mile engines again, because you won't have the crap in the DEF that plugs up engines, supposed to make it run cleaner, but all that DEF does is eliminate the black smoke. You still get all the pollution of a diesel engine, you just have more chemicals in that pollution. That's the DEF. So I think if these regulations go through, we'll be able to see million-mile engines again that don't get clogged up after 50, 100,000 miles. Another thing that's exciting for these classic cars in California, if you haven't heard, there's something that they're trying to pass in California called Leno's Law, which would practically exempt cars or classic cars up to a certain age, I think, to smog checks. So we can just enjoy our classics without worrying. Like, this car doesn't have to, at least in Colorado, because it's, over 50 years old or whatever it is here. But like that Camaro, we haven't gotten it running, but Leno's Law would really help that, because we could just go and enjoy our classic car without having to get smog and get all that crap regulated, because it's sometimes a pain. Like my grandpa, we're LS swapping his El Camino, but his 305, we couldn't get to pass emissions because of something stupid, like a little piece in the air pump or something. It was one of those stupid emissions from the from the 80s that would prevent it from passing emissions. So we just pulled that 305 and LS swapped it. So instead of letting my grandpa enjoy his classic car, it sat in his driveway for 6 years. He drove it for about 2 years and then couldn't get it to pass emissions, and it just sat there. And then eventually he decided to put an LS in there, and then it sat, and then me and my dad decided to go finish that. But if Leno's Law was in effect and he didn't have to get emissions, he would have been able to enjoy his classic car without worrying about emissions. So I think that will also be a big benefit for people in California. And if you've paid any attention in recent times, you'll see that modern truck prices, car prices, especially bigger trucks. But, 10 years ago, you could get a diesel dually truck for 30, 50 grand. Now, a modern one with all the emission stuff is over 100,000, because dealers and makers have to pay more to research emission stuff. It costs more to put the emission stuff on the engines and trucks and stuff. And overall, it's not good. It costs more. It takes more time. So this emission standards is a big reason for why the prices of cars and trucks have come up a lot in the recent years. And I don't know what you guys think about this deregulation of emission standards, but personally, I think it's good. It'll help cars run better. It'll reduce prices. It'll just be a lot easier. And personally, I think I'll be daily driving these classic cars come May. I think it's more environmentally friendly to just drive the old cars, And so if you have less emissions, you can do some of the emissions delete and make them run even better and make them run even cleaner. First, you don't have to produce another car, and second, those cars you don't have to produce will run better. So if we don't have all these regulations, I think it's a win-win. What do you guys think? Make sure you comment down below, subscribe, and do all the stuff. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.